Simply Tammy.
It's a blessing that I'm here, I'm alive. No, I never ever have to cry, cause it's something I know will always work for me on my side. Not a thing I even have to fight, All things work together for my good. Life speaks if you listen, it might be sound. Watch the love come alive. Sharing the truth that inspires, Sharing the truth that inspires, Sharing the truth that inspires. All things work together for my good. Life speaks if you listen, it might be sound. Watch the joy come alive, watch the joy. Sharing the truth that inspires.
Inspired to love, inspired to grow, inspired to heal, inspired to live. Simply Tammy.
Good evening. It is Tammy Carpenter, affectionately known as Simply Tammy. So very glad to be back with you for another week and another episode of Women Who Win. Thank you guys, as always, for joining me. I love the fact that you guys are flexible with switching from Wednesday to Thursday. Some of you make sure that you share the post. You show up every week, and I am so very appreciative of that. So I always want to let you know before I do anything else how grateful that I am for you showing up in this space. Now that I have welcomed you, you know what to do. If you are a regular, if you're watching me for the first time, please go ahead and jump in the comments and say hello. My guests would love to know that you are watching, and I would love to know that you're watching as well. So we're going to bring up some of those comments once I bring my guest up on the screen. So thank you guys for sharing. Thank you guys for watching. If you are joining me on YouTube, you can't share, but I hope you have already clicked on that subscribe button. Thank you guys for being consistent on that platform as well. And even if you're not on YouTube, you know what I'm going to say. I need you to subscribe. Thank you guys that have been doing it. I've seen the numbers go up, so I do appreciate that. So for the month of February, I have had a theme that has been phenomenal. It has been a blast from my past, empowering my present. So I have been honored to invite women to this platform, specifically in this month, that I have known. Most of these women, probably 20 plus years. I grew up with them in some capacity. So to see the things that they are doing and to be able to bring them into this platform to have a conversation and to introduce them to you has been such an honor. So my guest tonight is another phenomenal woman. We grew up together in church together, reconnected over the years on social media. So I'm so very honored that she said yes to join me on this platform tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up her picture, read her bio, and bring her onto the screen so we can acknowledge those guests that are saying yes. And I see there is a lot of love in the comments, so I cannot wait for her to be able to see those. So my guest tonight is Miss Jasilika Davidson, and her bio reads, Jasilika Davidson has been in the business of serving people for 25 years. Previously, she was a pre-K through second grade educator and had a career in broadcast journalism, working as a reporter, co-anchor, and producer. She is also a veteran, having served her country for 6 years. She has a Bachelor of Arts in Communications, a Master of Arts in Communications Management, and a Master of Arts in Education. Currently, she is a proud owner of the Assisted Living Locators West Columbus franchise, servicing West Central Ohio. Seeking an opportunity to positively contribute to her local community, she is excited to provide a no-cost referral service that offers the best elder care options, information, and resources available. In addition to her referral agency, she is the host of the Golden Life podcast. The podcast is full of content to inspire and educate families and caregivers who care for an elderly loved one. Its purpose is to provide them with the information and inspiration they need to keep themselves and their loved ones living and loving their golden years. So without further ado, welcome, welcome, welcome. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my disclaimer out there. We know her name says Jasilika Davidson and her bio says Jasilika Davidson. But y'all know, those of you who know us on this platform know she's about to be leaky tonight.
All day, every day. Leaky. Yes, I already know. I have prepared myself for that. I have prepared myself, Tammy.
Good. So first of all, thank you for saying yes. Thank you for joining the platform. And I have to show you some of the love, some of the people we have known almost all of our lives. Tramika's in the comments tonight. She said, oh yeah, she's been looking forward to this. My niece and your cousin, Shintara, is in the comments.
Hey.
My other niece, Delinda. Hello. Thank you guys for joining us. My nephew, Steven, said, Pete My Manor in the house. Right. PMBC, always.
Yes.
Jeanette Berry, thank you for joining us. Yes. My friend Panora, all the way in Florence. Yes. And Tramika said, yes, Pete My Manor is in the house, and leaky it is.
Always, right? I've been trying to just run away from it, but it is who I am. Absolutely.
Well, thank you for still giving us permission to call you leaky. Because it's all wrapped in love. That's just what we've always known you as, and it really is a term of endearment for those that have known you. Probably, well, oh my God, it's over 30 years.
I mean, listen, you're telling our ages.
I know. Look at the 20-something sounded good, but then I realized no. Over 30 years.
Listen, it's probably been longer than that. I mean, we'll
just say a long time. Almost all I know.
A long time. Yes, thank you.
So again, thank you for saying yes. And I want to just start with the line of questions, because when I flash back to us growing up in church together, and then growing up, getting out of high school, I remember when you first entered the military. And I think it shocked us all, because I don't think if any one of us would have put a wager, no one would have thought that Leaky was going into the military. So how did you arrive at that decision? Because, I guess outside of your bio, do people just naturally know that you are a 6-year veteran?
No, they don't. They have no idea. I think that the thought is I'm too prissy, which is what a lot of people thought about me. But I was the girl, making mud pies when I was little. Really, the military was an act, something I wanted to do simply because I wanted an education. My mom was a single mom. She had no idea what that looked like as far as college was concerned, didn't have any money to give me so that I could go to college. And I knew I wanted more for myself. Mm-hmm. And wanting more meant sacrificing what I thought was cool. My friends going out and living their best lives, right? And they are out at the beach during senior week, and they're just, going to college and living their lives. And I didn't have the luxury of doing that and having someone who had money to pay for my college education. So either I was going to go to college or not go to college. Is the way I looked at it. And the military was my option so that I could go to college and live what is called the American dream.
Wow. Yeah. And I think, I know for myself, I can definitely relate to the coming from a single parent home and really having to make some decisions about whether or not you're going to further your education and how that's going to look. So that was a smart move. So did you go to school right after the military?
No. It's very interesting, Tammy. What people don't realize is I did what is called the split op program. And I don't know if you remember. So that meant the summer prior to my senior year in high school, I actually did my basic training at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. And then after I graduated, now imagine this person who does not know what the heck she's doing, going to boot camp and the drill sergeant screaming and yelling, Golden, you're 8 up. And you're like, and I always thought I was a pretty strong person. And honestly, the military broke me down to build me back up. And so I was totally I felt totally defeated. I was not good at anything. If you've ever watched Private Benjamin, I was Private Benjamin. If they do a redo of that movie, I need to play Private Benjamin because I was truly ate up. But I was ate up, but I was dedicated, right? So I was dedicated because I knew that the ultimate goal was for me to get a degree. So even though I hated every last moment, truth be told, right, of the military, because it just wasn't who I was. I knew that if I did it, if I could withstand all these things that they were throwing at me, right? Because it's really to see how tough you are and to get you ready for combat and obstacles and challenges and overcoming those things, that I could do anything. Right. And so I had to change my mind mentally because I didn't know what it took to endure what they would put on me. And there were many nights I would cry because I didn't think I had the strength to do it, but I knew I had to do it. And so I would get up and I would run with people. Like, you had to run 2 miles in 19 minutes and 54 seconds. Who the heck does that? Right. So I would go and I would get with someone who ran faster than me and better than me and had the endurance that I didn't have. And I would go and I would push myself. I would be crying and all kinds of stuff doing it, but I did it. I could not even do a correct push-up. And for those of you who are not athletic, like I have not been, there is a certain thing called a correct push-up. And I could not do a correct push-up. So I would have my battle buddy, Rollins, who would come and she would put a towel underneath my belly so that I could learn to keep my back straight, right? I couldn't do that, and I needed to do 13 in order to get out of basic training, right, correctly. Shooting, listen, I don't even like guns, right? But I had to shoot, to kill, drive on, hook, right? If you're in the military, you know what that means. And so I had to do that, and I was not good. I got marksman, right? So that means I'm barely fast, right? But I did it. Throwing live grenades and hand-to-hand combat. I remember being scared as all get out to do the whole throw the grenade, because they're telling you stories to frighten you and how it didn't make it over the wall. And so I was worried about it not making it over the wall. And so I, prayed, because I was a person of prayer, and faith, because we grew up, we praying, we doing our thing. And so I'm just praying to Jesus, like, Lord, I need that grenade to go over the wall. And it did. And it went over the wall. But then these jokers come to me talking about, hey, Golden, we have another grenade. You want to throw the other? No. So thankfully, another soldier was able to do that for me, because I don't think I could have done it the second time, but I did it. And, I will tell anyone, if I had to do it over again, would I do it again? No, I wouldn't. But I am thankful for the lessons that I learned so that I can share it with other people, to say, you can do what you think you can't do. Right. Put your mind to it. You can do what you think and what the world has told you. And sometimes the naysayers, and it could be even you, right? Say it to yourself, because sometimes it's a battle with the voices in your head. Right. And the voices say, girl, you can't do this. And then someone, sometimes that voice says, and it's really the Holy Spirit saying, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. And so for me to be able to do that and my life be a testimony in that way, even that long ago, is what I live for.
Yeah, I am very, I'm even more impressed now hearing the story, because I know when we were that young, we still had options, like, if this don't work out, I can go back to my mama's house, or, I can go do this. But what I'm not going to do is do something that I don't really want to do. Yeah. So the fact that you stuck to that, not liking a moment of it, one is admirable, but I want to talk to the point of, where did that strength come from? Because I think that had to be something that was either built in you from maybe some other life circumstances, or something that a characteristic that you didn't know you had until it had to show up in that moment? Because again, being that young, life, everything is optional. So
Yeah.
what made you say, I have to do this because I know I want that?
You know what? I think, okay, so the strength, let me just go ahead and touch upon the strength piece. I feel like the strength was always there. I believe that God gives us strength, right? Now, for me, I just didn't recognize it until then.
Okay.
So it was always there, but in some ways, people nurtured my strength, right? When they picked on me, they had no idea that I was getting tough skin, right? When I fell down and I had to get myself up, those battles I had to fight internally, but also externally, sometimes with other people, sometimes just with my own self, that it helped me to develop the muscles and the strength to accomplish goals that I didn't know that I could. And even now, I'm still exercising that in my life today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. So at some point after the military and after college, you entered into media.
Yeah, I did.
So
Listen,
was that always in the cards, or was that something that you developed a love for? How did we go from, or was, because I know military, like you said, was I need to go to the military so that I can fund my college career to get my degree. Was the degree focus always to enter into media and journalism, or was that something that came along the way?
you know what? In middle school, I wanted to be an attorney because I used to watch The Cosby Show and I love Claire Huxtable and I have a little Claire myself. So I wanted to be an attorney, and I even wrote a poem about it. My dream is to be a lawyer, you see, to uphold truth and justice for you and for me, to believe in myself and the case that I prepare, to let the people whom I represent know that I care. So that's what I thought I was going to be, right?
You better spit some bars tonight.
That's what I thought I was going to be because I would watch Claire Huxtable. And I thought she was a phenomenal woman, a representation of a Black, strong, educated woman, right, who valued family. And so I saw that as beautiful, and I wanted to duplicate that or mimic that in some way. So that's what I thought I was going to be. But at the same time, I loved Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Gail Winfrey. And so I was like, you know what? I can do what she does. And so I wanted to go to school. So I said I could be the next Oprah Winfrey.
Okay. Come through.
That's what I said, right? I said, I want to be the next Oprah Winfrey, God. And so he had to remind me that you need to be the very best Jasilika.
Right. So how long were you in media? Because I know you were still in the Greenville area.
Yeah.
During that time, right?
Greenville in Georgia. So I want to say not long enough. 3 years. When I say not long enough, I still am very passionate, and I really don't watch the news unless it's CNN. Let's just be honest. But I'm very passionate about storytelling, right? And so I think that what God has done, and he had put it in my spirit sometime after giving birth to Claire, to start my own talk show. And I have to be honest, that I was very scared to do it because of the criticism that comes along with being in what is called the spotlight, right? Am I good enough? Do I have something to say? And so I never did it. I just kept writing about it. That was my outlet to write. And so I just never did it. And when I had children, of course, things started to change, and being a mom and the demands, it's like, do I want the life right now? My husband always asks me, what are you willing to sacrifice? And I knew that TV, as much as I loved it, paid me $16,000 a year. Because you have to start off making little money so you can grow, right? You get your network, you build your brand, like your personal brand, and that's when you start making money. And so I was like, I ain't sacrificed. I had to struggle. My mama was a single parent. I ain't getting ready to eat beans. I'm not eating beans and rice. I'm just not doing it. So this idea of being the next Oprah had no commitment.
Wow. Gotcha.
I was not getting ready to do that, Joker. I'm not living that life. I'm not living that life. I wasn't ready for that.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Look, now I'm going to explore my options.
Exactly. Nope, not doing that. Nope. Nobody.
So did you, because just following your journey, because I think during that time I was living in Columbia while you were here in media. How did you end up in Ohio? Because you've been in Ohio for how many years now?
Oh my goodness. This is going into my 8th year. So I really think that it was God. I know it was God when I look at it and how it happened. My husband and I are crazy in some ways. And so we had been living for most of our marriage in the South, which was a blessing all in itself. And his mom would come down like every time I had a baby. I only had 2, but she came down and she would stay 2 weeks with me, and it was such a blessing. And she and I are like super close. You would think that she gave birth to me because she's like, we're super close. And so his mom is older than my parents. And so we wanted to be really closer to her as she aged.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing that, we went to Cincinnati. We came up to Cincinnati. And on our way back, my husband and I started having a conversation. And I'm not going to say it was the act of God. God was not speaking to us. I don't think. I don't remember God saying, girl, y'all better go to Cincinnati. That's not what I remember the conversation being. I
Gotcha.
think my husband and I thought would be the best. And so my husband, his faith is a little bit different than my faith. Okay. Let me say this. And I think I have faith, and I have stronger faith in some areas, but this faith was like, okay, so we're going to move. Let me tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the house. We had just moved into our house, had been there, my dream home, built it from the ground up, had been there a year.
Wow.
The Joker comes, and I say, I love my husband. I'm just saying, you guys don't be offended by the Joker part. But he comes home, and he in Georgia, in Athens, Georgia, and he puts our house up for rent.
Your dream home? Like you want other people to come live in my dream home?
Right. And then he starts applying for jobs. And I'm like, I know we said this, but did we really say this? Have we really had a conversation about this? And he was like, yeah. So then he got, really quickly, because the house was, not a nice house. We got an offer and the person wanted to come see it. Okay. So they come see the house and then they want to rent it. Say what? And and so that's what we did. And at the time I was student teaching in Georgia, and I'm trying to figure out what. And so he gets one of those pods, moves all of our stuff in the pods. We go to temporary housing. He's still applying. We still don't have an offer. And I'm mad because the family that's living in the house, now their children go to school with Kenny, the little guy. And they're like, oh, I love your house. And I'm like, eyes rolling, attitude. God had to work on me. Let me just tell you, because I was like, I can't believe you talked me into this. This is what I'm saying. And then he gets a job offer. So he gets a job offer, I guess, within maybe 2 months.
Okay.
He has to go, and we think it's going to be in Cincinnati, right? But God sends us to Columbus. And I'm like, yay. And it was more money than we thought we could get. It was like, whoa, God, okay, this is real. So then he has to travel to Cincinnati. He has to move to Cincinnati. And I still got 2 kids, a 4-year-old and a 3-year-old at the time.
Wow.
And I'm student teaching. So I'm having to hold it down. Okay. And I'm still having an attitude. Let me be honest. I'm like, God, I'm going to go, but I ain't happy about it.
Ain't happy about it.
I'm not happy about it. So I wasn't happy about it. I was happy about the idea of going, but not the process to get there. Right. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes in life, to get to where we're supposed to be, we have to go through a process. And
You
we
better say it.
don't recognize what the process means, right? I didn't recognize that it meant my husband was going to go to Cincinnati ahead of me. I didn't recognize that I was going to be at home with 2 kids, a 3 and a 4-year-old. I didn't recognize that I was going to have a whole attitude for a whole long time. Even when he called me, I was like, I'm busy. Let's be real. That's how I was. It was not good. And now I see the whole picture, right?
Wow.
There was a reason that we had to go the way we went. Jesus.
Yeah.
Woo.
God does that so very beautifully.
He
These can look like they are totally just disheveled, world upside down, nothing, no puzzle pieces coming together. Then all of a sudden there's this beautiful picture, and it's like, oh, okay, God.
Yeah.
This is what you were working on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes we think that we're writing the story. Actually, God's writing the story. He knows your beginning and your end all at the same time. But we have to yield to it, right? Be present in it. Be present in it. So we are participants in the story. We're the characters.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So then you've spent some time in education. You were student teaching, you said in Georgia, but I think while you were in Ohio, you were a was it pre-K to second grade teacher?
Yeah. Well, so here I was pre-K and kindergarten. Pre-K, kindergarten. No, pre-K and first grade. Sorry. So yeah.
So we've gone from military
to
media.
Yeah.
Now we're in the classroom. And I absolutely love, as I told you when we met before the pre-interview, I love the way, because some people will look at that and was like, well, she's just doing everything. She don't know what she wants to do. But I think oftentimes we don't really try things because we don't know what it's going to be like. So, maybe this is what I did for 5 years, but now I want to try something totally different. Yeah. Do I not try it and never know how it's going to be, or do I put myself out there? So how did teaching come into the cards?
Well, okay, so before we talk about teaching, let me just say this. As an on-camera traffic reporter, I used to go sit with families, seniors, okay? So I want to make sure that we have that piece in the puzzle. But to get to education, it really started with Claire. She was a baby, and I was really curious about my child. Like, I am a student of Claire and Kenny. And so I wanted to know how she thought. And I wanted to know how to teach her. And so I was like, what could I do? I could go back to school and I could get an education degree so I could learn how to teach my little girl. So it really was something that my heart wanted to do because I was so in love with my daughter.
Oh, wow.
She wasn't born yet. And so I was in love with her and just the details of her. And I wanted to be able to nurture her and love her and the way she deserved. And I felt like part of that was educating her. So I went back to school.
Wow. So did you enjoy being in the classroom? Because learning to teach your own is different than having 30 of someone else's.
Right. Well, I absolutely love being in the classroom. And I really think that what I do now, and I know we'll get to that pretty soon, is the same as teaching, and it's the same as media. I'm still educating, so I'm still an educator, right? I'm licensed by the state of Ohio, but I am an educator in a different capacity right now. And then as it relates to media, I mean, listen, I use my communication skills each and every day. So part of what I do, my marketing campaign, I mean, everything I do is tied to that degree. So I'm using every gift. This is what I say about where God has placed me now. Every gift that he has gave me, I am using right now.
Yes.
And maybe gifts I don't even know that I possess, right? So I am using them right now. Every skill set I am using right now. And I got a lot of student loans. Even though I was in the military, I still got the student loans. But I'm using everything that I learned.
Beautiful, beautiful. So yes, let's talk about what you are doing now. You and your husband are franchise owners of assisted living locators.
Yes.
So how long have you guys been doing that, and what led you in that direction?
This has been 2 years, February 14th. So we just had our 2-year anniversary. I call it a birthday.
Yes.
And,
Well, congratulations on 2 years.
yay! You know, the crazy thing is, as I mentioned to you earlier, I actually used to go sit with seniors after I finished doing the traffic. And so I just looked at it as just having a conversation. I love people and I love learning about people. So it was really easy just to sit and listen and to help them whenever they needed to be helped. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I was coming, we were actually on our way. Maybe we were already here. And I had some cousins and friends who had been working in senior care. And they educated me about it. And I was like, that seems interesting. I mean, it was a lot of different things that seemed interesting about it, if I can be honest. Caring for someone outside of yourself, the sense of community, and then the potential to make a decent income for your family, to leave a legacy for them. So I fell in love with all of that, but I really wasn't sure of how to do it, right? Because I've never been a business owner a day in my life before that time. And so I wasn't sure. I was like, Lord, I don't know how to do this, but I kept writing it. Like I have vision boards and I've shared it. I don't have it with me right now. It's across the room. It was actually written. This is what I'm writing, that this is what I want to do. And, and didn't know when or if it was going to happen. I mean, I had faith that it was, but I had no idea. Like, Lord, where are you going to give me this money? Because you know it costs a lot of money. In South Carolina, they say you can start up with 1,000. That's not what I see in Ohio, Lord Jesus. So I'm gonna need you to rain, drop a load of cash on me.
Right, provision, Lord.
Right, exactly. And so when I was really getting burnt out at the last school that I worked at, without going into a great amount of detail, I just felt like there was some inequalities there. And unfair treatment of people who look like me.
Gotcha.
And that's not, that didn't sit well with me. And so at the very beginning, I walked in and I felt good because I'm teaching, I'm educating. Oh, I'm happy. But as I started to experience those things directly and then indirectly, I knew it wasn't time for me to stay. So every day, whereas I would be in the class with students and that would make me, happy being with the students, but the pressure and the anxiety and the discrimination I felt, I knew I couldn't stay.
Mm-hmm.
But I was willing to stay as long because I had a good schedule for my children, as long as I needed to. So my husband was approached on LinkedIn by a recruiter, or like a franchise recruiter. And so he's approached and he comes, right? Who even knew that existed? Nobody knew. So he comes to me with this idea in November of 2018. And I'm like, dude, this ain't real. They pulling your leg. This is a whole
it's a LinkedIn scam. It's a scam.
Hard. Like this is not happening. I know because I'm from the streets. I'm from Piedmont Manor, So this is what I'm saying to him. He was like, no, I checked it out. This is legit. So he encourages me to attend a meeting and he was present. It was actually a conference call. I remember I was at a Japanese restaurant getting food again, not taking this seriously. Oh, listen, this lady's not. So I get on the phone with her and she started to ask me a series of questions. And as she's asking me these questions, I'm just like, because I'm still trying to figure out, is this legit?
Right. I'm just here because my husband told me to come.
Right. So that's true. And so I get off the call. We end up wrapping up the call and she's going to come back to us because the initial interview, because I call it an interview, is her really just getting to know me and the things I like and the things I dislike. So the next call she scheduled was a list of 3 franchises, right? I'm going to say the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. Listen, 3 franchises.
We church babies to our heart. You can't help
it. I know, listen. Bringing me options, right? She wanted to present options. And one was like a tutoring franchise. Well, I could teach, but no, don't want to do that. One was I feel like all the sign, like creating those signs and selling, I feel like it was something like that. And I was like, oh no. And then it was assisted living locators. Now, after she presented those, she then had to schedule follow-up interviews. And so the follow-up interviews is really them just sharing who they are and what they do. And I knew, like the other ones I fell asleep on. Shh. But that one, assisted living locators, just spoke to my heart and spoke to what I wanted to do. Right. And the rest is her story. Yes.
So how has the journey as an entrepreneur been?
Ooh.
Has it been, yeah, I'll let you put words to it. I won't even
Do you want the truth or you want
we want the whole truth. And then you heard the song at the beginning. We share truth that inspires. So truth ain't always pretty, but there's gonna be a good outcome from it. So yes, ma'am, tell us the truth.
So the truth is, it has been the greatest blessing that I could have never imagined this. Like, I didn't know that I needed this. I had no idea that I was built for this. I was created for this. Now, let me just be very clear. The first year of franchise ownership was a challenge because I didn't know how to do it. Even though, when you buy a franchise, the great news about buying a franchise is you get processes, you get procedures, you get people who are supporting you. Yay! Wonderful, right? But I still had never run a business before. And running a business is quite different than being the employee, right? Yes. And so I had to figure out a whole lot of stuff and spent a whole lot of money making mistakes. And not knowing how to run. And let me just say this, because people see social media and you probably see, oh, these posts that she's making and she's doing this. And I hear that all the time. Okay. So everything that glitters is not gold. Right?
Never is.
And it's not just to say I was doing bad. I wasn't living up to my godly potential.
Okay.
And I had not been, when I say that, because I always feel like I can do better. I'm a perfectionist by nature, and I had no idea until I got this business. Let me be very clear. No idea. But, and I did things well, right? But I didn't know the money-making part of it because I just wanted to go and serve because that's what you do. You serve, right? I'm serving because I have a servant's heart, but serving means also being compensated.
Come through, truth.
Right? It's not a nonprofit, it's a for-profit.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
and
ma'am.
So I had to readjust my thinking. Went through coaching, paid for a coach, a business coach on purpose because, well, my husband said I needed it actually. He's like, you're doing it, he has a great way of saying it. You're doing a great job, babe. I just think that this would be help. It will help you shine more, babe. So I ended up with a business coach and I was just, and even still then, and even during the time when I was planting seeds with the business and listen, getting my name out there, learning, doing those things, I could still see God. And I still saw God was present. And I still believed by faith that my business would grow. I didn't know how because I didn't know what the heck I was doing. Right? But I trusted God and his ability more than I trusted Jasilika. So fast forward to, I want to say right before the pandemic, my coach, because you have to commit to a year, my coach, Peter, who's also a man of faith, and I praise God for that. Because I needed someone to speak into me outside of my husband, because my husband does a really good job of speaking into me in a time when I felt like I was in a drought and I didn't know where I was going. Okay. And so he gave me a story, and it was a story about the bamboo tree.
Okay.
I've heard about the bamboo tree, but let me just tell you. The story about the bamboo tree is a farmer hears about a bamboo, and he hears about how tall and strong bamboo is. So he says, okay, I'm going to go get me some seeds, and I'm going to plant the bamboo, right? And it's going to grow, and I'm going to sell the bamboo, and it's going to be amazing, right? And this is me summarizing, you guys. Don't quote me on this. You have to read it for yourself. And so he does this, and he's watering. It's getting the sunlight. He goes and he looks at it every day and nothing's happening. Year one. Year 2, same thing happens. He goes and he looks, still not moving, but he still continues to check on it. Of course, he's watering it when it's not raining. It's already getting the sunlight, and he's just exercising faith that it's going to show up, but he has no knowledge of how and when it's going to show up.
Right.
3 comes, and he walks out one day, and this bamboo, I want to say between 35 and 50 feet tall. Because what he didn't understand in the process of the seeds being planted is that it takes root in the soil.
Absolutely.
So it wasn't growing upward.
Absolutely.
Preparing it for where it was supposed to be.
Absolutely.
So when I look at my life and I look at this journey on my business, I know, and let me just say, last year in a pandemic, my business grew. Like, I'm like, okay, God, and it's still growing.
Yes.
And it was because I have planted a seed of faith, but I also believe that faith without works is dead, because that is what the Bible says. But then I also go to the scripture, and I think it's Matthew 20, 21. Is that right? Anyway.
Yeah, you can paraphrase it. We'll catch it. We'll catch it.
What are you asking for?
Mm-hmm.
What are you asking God for? And so I've been reading Draw the Circle. I don't know if you guys have ever read that. So I have been purposely, intentionally drawing the circle in my life. And I want to see God complete in my life and manifest. So I will be debt-free. This business will be successful. I will leave an inheritance for my children and my children's children. This year, my goal is 10 placements per month. I don't know how God's going to do it. That's on average. But I see God moving as I act in my faith. Yes, yes.
MJ, I purposely waited to put this comment up because ain't she low-key preaching in here? I'm like, wait a minute. Let me shift back to I know Leaky sang in the choir when we was growing up. I didn't realize it was a little something in there.
That's you and Mika, the preachers. I mean, my business is a ministry. So every day I am able to, how many jobs are you on that you own, that you're able to speak life into people, and that you're able to pray for them, and that you're able to intercede on their behalf, and that you are able to advocate for them. I mean, how many times that's my job every single day.
Wow.
Every single day. That's what I do. Placements is how I get paid, right? That's how I get paid. That's how I make my money. But the greater reward is helping families.
So, almost getting ready to wrap up, but through the things that you've done from high school until now, career and family, you've had a colorful career, very different industries, as well as being a wife and mother. At what point do you think, or did you say you may have felt most challenged as a woman, where it was like, okay, God, back is up against the wall. I don't even know how this is going to turn out.
Honestly, being Kenny's wife and Claire and Kenny's mom.
Wow.
Not because I think that people think that sometimes marriage is easy, right? And it's not. And it's you go through so many stages of your marriage. And Kenny and I I prayed for my husband, you guys, before he ever came to me. And when I saw him, I said, that's my husband. And God honored that. And it's so glad it turned out to be true. And he's amazing, right? But it doesn't go without sometimes having heated fellowship. And frustrations, and I love you, but I don't even like you right now, right? I love you, like I absolutely love you, but I don't like you in this moment. And then the children who stretch me as much as I love them, they still stretch me, and it's the most beautifully complicated thing I've ever experienced. They will test everything, but then they come over and they love on me, right? And so it reminds me of God's love for me. And then I always think back to, Reverend Golden, when he tells the story about Tim in, was it Burger King? And how these kids will ask me for anything. My daughter has asked me for a whole Tesla. Because she feels comfortable enough and she has the faith. And I'm like, girl, I ain't even got no Tesla. So it really is. It is the most beautifully complicated thing I've ever done, and it makes
Wow.
emotions go up and down and in between and sideways. Let's just be honest, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
There's not a such thing as perfection. I did not marry a perfect husband. I don't have perfect children, and they do not have a perfect mom. And so the idea of perfection is insane all in of itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it is also very much rewarding, right? And
Right.
I received this, and I hope Ranshika doesn't get me. I got a message from her today. And it was, I mean, it blessed me. So, and I had to tell my husband, he doesn't get as sentimental as me. You know, I'm like, oh my goodness, that's so sweet. So during the time Ranshika was in Columbus for a short period of time, she actually stayed with us. And she told me how much of a blessing it was to see Kenny and I. And
Mm-hmm.
not do things perfectly, but do things right in our
Mm-hmm.
conflict resolution. You know, how we come back to the table. And again, I might not like you, but I love you. We got to have this conversation. It's not,
Mm-hmm.
might not be pretty, but going back, and that blessed my whole soul today. Because you hope that you're doing it right, right? Because that's one of the
Right.
things I pray is that I'm an example of what God's idea, not Jasilika's idea, of a healthy and whole marriage is.
Mm-hmm.
Show that, and that we are an example of what loving your children unconditionally looks like, right? And celebrating them and encouraging them and lifting them up and teaching them about Christ, and correcting them when they need to be corrected, because correction is love, right? God corrects us because he
Absolutely.
loves us. And so being able to say that and share that with them, that's what we do.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's beautiful, because I know it wasn't until later in life that I actually thought about this and looked this in the face that, like you said, marriage isn't easy. And many of us grew up in single parent homes. So
Yeah.
you have no view of marriage because it's not Claire and Heathcliff Huxtable, live and in color. It's a whole different situation that no one has prepared you for if you were not raised in that environment.
Let me tell you this though. Actually, I was prepared for it.
Okay.
Okay, let me tell you why. And I actually, when when Reverend Golden passed away, I went and thanked two examples that were in our church of a husband and wife where she submitted to her husband, she honored him. And to me, the times that I was able to spend with them was an example of what a healthy marriage looked like. And that would be Mama Gent and Daddy-O, so the Sullivans. And then it would be Sharon and Andre Stoddard.
Mm-hmm.
So
Beautiful.
even though I wasn't raised in their house, they modeled what a healthy marriage was supposed to look like.
Mm-hmm.
And I
That's
took
good.
note. I had no idea that I was taking note, but I
Wow.
took note. And so when I started praying for my husband, because I started praying for my husband, and someone gave me the poem, everyone longs to give themselves completely to someone, to have a deep and soul relationship with another. But God, to a Christian, says, not until you are satisfied and content with being loved by me and me alone. And only then will I send you that perfect love, and that I'm preparing him or her at the same time I'm preparing you. So I knew that my life had to go through all the crazy stuff, because I went through crazy stuff. I mean, dating people, kissing frogs, doing all kind of crazy stuff before I got to my husband, because I wasn't ready for him, nor was he ready for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so during that journey of living life on the wild, crazy side, sinful life that I was living, God was still demonstrating in me that I was worthy of the love. Because I think that sometimes not having your father present in your life, you start doing stuff that you shouldn't do, right?
Absolutely.
Trying to find love in all the wrong places. And that was so my life. And I still struggled with that for a long, long, long time. And God showed me that I was worthy, but I still had work to do within myself to prepare me for my husband. And so when Kenny came, it wasn't like a normal date that I had. Like Kenny and I, at the very beginning, we had a conversation. We decided not to go to the movies because the movies would distract us from talking about each other, learning each other. right? And then I was like, listen, I have dedicated myself to God, and I had sex before. I'm not having sex before I'm married. And he was like, me too. This is probably too much for Facebook. He's gonna be calling me. He's gonna be like, oh my goodness. And we decided to save ourselves, even though we had both had past lives, but not to do that. Recommitted ourselves and our bodies to Christ. And so what we did, and then we started reading I Kissed David, and he recommended it, so I knew it was like different. I was like, oh my goodness, can we read it together? I Kissed Dating Goodbye. So we read that together, and then still was like the question, like, are we dating? Are we dating? So then I got a cake, honey, and I was like, are we dating? Are we dating? And then we were dating, and this is, honey, this is where it is. This is where it is.
Yes.
Beautiful. Like, what on Facebook? Oh, yeah, forever.
Tell him this was a safe place and the right platform for you to share. So it was needed to be heard tonight. So thank you for your transparency in sharing that. So in conclusion, I love how things have come full circle, because not only are you working with seniors now, like you said, every gift that God is giving you, every piece of education that you've obtained, you're still using it in your current state. And you're back in media because you have a podcast.
I do.
Tell us about your podcast.
Oh my goodness. So again, you have to keep in mind that God had already put on my heart to have some type of talk show. When, a little bit after Claire was born, and of course, I was a little scared, and I wasn't going to do it. And I always feel like I have to have all the pieces of the puzzle together. That is the perfectionist in me, and so I refused to do it. And when I got some assistance on how to navigate this, like, you're doing all this behind the scenes yourself, I'd be having somebody doing this for me, right? That's not what I want to do. I just want to be right here talking, right? And so I knew that my love for senior care was like, wow, like, God, like, this is where I feel like I was always supposed to be. And I was chasing being the next Oprah Winfrey, but this is where I was supposed to be. And let's expand on what you're learning and what you know, and be a resource for people. And so the Golden Life podcast is really an opportunity to talk to experts and to talk to, industry professionals as well as families about those things that are important to seniors and the things that they're going through, real things like Parkinson's, like Alzheimer's, dementia, fall prevention, staying at home, COVID-19, what that's looking like right now, the vulnerability, mental health, physical health, all of those things. Let's have that, but let's do it in a way that's different and unique to you, also in your gifting. And so I had to use golden, and not just because the golden years. You guys know my name was golden.
Yes.
The only one I pulled it up for was Kennedy, right? My middle name, though, legally, but still, same thing. And so I knew that it had to be the Golden Life podcast, because when I think about golden, I think about greatness. I think about Reverend Golden, who was such a staple in the community, going out and serving. And I mean, up until he was like, I don't even know how old he was when he passed away, but just the gifting and what he did, just, passing out meals. And when people had their life turned out, being the one to have them turn back on. And then me getting kicked out of school, and the times he came to save me. And so I wanted to make sure that I was doing something with the Golden Life podcast and also with Assisted Living Locators that would bring honor to God, but would also make mommy, so that would be Lena Smith, very happy if she knew what I was doing right now. I know without a doubt she would be so happy that I'm doing this. For Reverend Golden as well, I try not to do to tears, but it was really important to me growing up to please them, because he was like a father to me, since I didn't grow up really with my father as present as he needed to be in my life. And then mommy was a mommy to me. And so I wanted to make sure that I honored them in the best possible way that I could.
Very beautiful. Very beautiful. So if people want to follow you, connect with you, stay in contact with you, what is the best way for them to, even if they, want to tune in to the podcast, what is that information?
Yeah, I know Shonda could put that in the. Shonda was right there. Shonda produces and does some of my marketing. I'm like, Shonda, how do they do that? I think it's on Anchor. I think we're looking. Look, listen. It's on Anchor. I know that it's on Anchor, and it's probably on some other things as well. In addition, probably, we do have a Facebook page. You can follow me personally, Jasilika Golden Davidson, or you can do Assisted Living Locators on Instagram. I'm all West Columbus, and then we also have the Golden Life podcast as well. Okay. I wanted to mention that people always wonder, and I think you mentioned it, that it's a free service for seniors and their families. So I want to make sure that people understand that my services are absolutely free. And what that means is if a family is going through something or they are in need of senior care living options, and they can reach out to me and I will guide them through the process. So that could even be connecting them to an elder law attorney, home care, home health care, hospice, whatever the case may be. It may be a financial planner, maybe you're downsizing, because all of that, even though I don't do it directly, I connect to industry professionals who do that. And I just walk with them through the whole process. And I'm not limited to Ohio. I want my South Carolina family to know that, simply because people think because I own a franchise that they couldn't reach out to me if they had a senior that was in need. But if you have a senior and you're in South Carolina or Georgia, wherever you are, you can reach out to me because I have franchise owners there. You'll start with me. I'll guide you, and then they'll finish up for me.
That's good to know. That's good to know. So if they connect with you, you can connect them with other people through assisted living locators in their area. So that is beautiful. So thank you so much for being on this platform tonight. Those of you that are watching, before I ask her to give us her final thoughts of inspiration and motivation, because she shared some beautiful gems. She's evidently an undercover preacher and a poet, because she was spitting out some poems and throwing out some words. All this time I've been knowing you, and I had no
idea. Listen, bring Mika back on here. We'll start singing. Wait a minute. Let's chill. No, what was the let's chill? Did you do that one with us? Did you sing that one with us?
Wait a minute. Now, we grew up in church together. Why are you saying?
Listen, that's right. But we turned it into a Christian version. The let's chill song.
Look. Me and Mika have remixed a whole lot of songs, so I probably was in there somewhere. I probably was.
I'm telling you, you already know. You already know.
Yes. So, before I ask you to give us some last words of encouragement and motivation, for those of you that are watching or for those that will catch the replay, thank you guys for commenting. Thank you for keeping us encouraged and inspired by your presence with your comments as you watch. If you do watch the replay, please hashtag replay in the comments so that we know that you're watching, because I do go back and look at the comments and respond, and oftentimes my guests will do the same. I want to connect with you beyond this platform, so scrolling across the bottom of the screen is the way that you can go to my website, leave your email address so that you can subscribe to my mailing list. I do not send a whole bunch of emails. Typically right now, I'm sending one a week just to let you know when the show will be and who's going to be on the show. You get that information before it hits social media. And since everyone's not on social media, you don't have to run the risk of missing what's coming up and who's coming up. So go ahead, go to simplytammy.com. At the bottom of that first page, there is a place for you to put your email address and subscribe. And I'd love to connect with you on that platform to keep you informed of what it's coming up with Women Who Win, and in the future, some other things that I have going on. So, Leaky, again, I am so very blessed by seeing God's hand move through your life over the years. You know, as I told, I call her MJ, as I told Mika when she was on the show, God has really been so very good to us. You know, who would have thought, and what we grew up in, experiencing, seeing, our lives could have turned out all kind of ways, but the hand of God and his plan has prevailed in so many beautiful ways. So if you had to leave some last words of motivation, encouragement, inspiration, Mika said she's screaming, we changed the lyrics, girl. Girl. The way you make up some songs.
Listen, y'all can sing too, y'all. Now, y'all can sing.
honey.
Not fair. I listen, first of all, let me just honor you for this platform that you've created so beautifully, so beautifully. I just honor you for doing this and for using your gift, because it's really a gift of ministry and of bringing people together. I mean, I see you and I celebrate what you've done. Even if we don't talk all the time, I just want to know that I want you to know that I am cheering you on, and I want you to be successful and for God to use you in a way that blows your mind completely.
Thank
so,
you.
I mean, from the bottom of my heart,
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. I think, I always try to, I don't know if I have any words. And I say that because I think the biggest thing that I'd like to say, and it's nothing profound, you guys. I just think that it's important to seek God in whatever your heart desires, right? Mm-hmm. And by seeking him, I mean actually sitting down, getting to know him, and allowing him to reveal your purpose to you. Oftentimes we think that we already know our purpose because we planned it out. I thought I was going to be the next Oprah Winfrey. That wasn't God's plan for me. And it's okay that it wasn't my plan, his plan for me, because his plans just showed me who he was in my life and said, Jasilika, you thought you were writing a story. You really weren't. You're not really in control. And so I had to yield to God and also the purpose that was within me. And so I just say, take a moment whenever you can. I would say right after this particular meeting, viewing, to just really sit with God and be as transparent. He already knows, right?
Absolutely.
To let him see how vulnerable you are. And if you don't know where you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to be doing in your life, it's okay. Nobody knows all the time. But I promise you, if you seek him and if you trust him, and then when he reveals it, if you walk out on faith, that God will do more than you could ever hope or imagine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And since you mentioned Oprah, one of her quotes that she shares many times is that God can dream a bigger dream for you than you can dream for yourself. So our lives in his hands are so much better.
They are.
And I like to say that in the form of saying life speaks. Many of you know that is my number one mantra. God is preparing a way. There's a plan and a purpose and a path. And if we walk hand in hand with him, he is leading us to a place that is more beautiful than what we could have even imagined. So thank you guys again for tuning in. It has been such a beautiful time. Laughter is always good. I knew just because we would be in church laughing at inappropriate times. So I knew we were going to be laughing on this interview tonight. So thank you so much, Leaky. And I will echo the words of Tamika. You have made so many people proud.
I love you
as your sisters
so
that grew up alongside of you, we are so very proud of the woman that you have become and how you continue to inspire us from afar. So again, thank you for saying yes to joining me tonight.
I don't want to do this tonight. I'm trying to be good. Don't cry, y'all.
No, but seriously though, we truly love you, and I'm so very thankful again that you said yes. So thank you guys for joining. I will be back next week with my final guest, Blast from the Past. So don't miss it. It's another special guest. And when will you find out? If you join my mailing list, you'll find out before everybody else does. If not, you'll see it on social media on the Simply Tammy page. So thank you guys for joining. Leaky, I'm going to ask you to hang out with me for just a few more seconds in the studio. And we are going to say good night until next week.
See ya.